Damn. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Danny Flexen and welcome to this week's edition of FLEXpectations, our weekly preview of the action ahead at the weekend. We're out every Thursday at 4:30 PM, hope you've been watching every week, but if not, now's a good time to start. We've got a huge fight this weekend with British interest of course. World heavyweight title fight with WBC champion Deontay Wilder defending against his toughest challenge to date, at least on paper, Tyson Fury, the self-professed lineal champion, although it's hard to argue with his claim, and certainly two of the three best heavyweights in the world if we include Anthony Joshua. Big fight going down, Los Angeles at Staples Center. Some of the SecondsOut team are over there. You'll see build-up action all week from Raheem, who's over there doing interviews in the build-up and on fight night itself. So we'll look forward to that. But right now, we're going to analyse the fight. Tyson Fury, obviously the big question mark around him is just how close is he to the version that shocked Vladimir Klitschko back in, 2015? The guy who took 2.5 years off before coming back earlier this year to beat undemanding opposition, it's fair to say, in Sefer Seferi and Francesco Pianetta. It's hard to judge from what we've seen. We know there's a certain element of stamina there because he's been the rounds with Pianetta. We know the movement and the speed are still there, at least to an extent. But until he gets in the ring with Wilder, only those around him will really know just how close he is to the version that shocked the world on that night out in Germany. Tyson Fury at his very best is probably technically the best heavyweight boxer in the world. You know, Joshua may be more athletic, Wilder may be more powerful, but Fury's skillful, he's fast, he's got great footwork. More than that, he's got real ring intelligence. He knows how to control distance and pace of a fight. He knows how to control his opponent and to put him in the positions where he's more effective. It also doesn't hurt that he's 6'9" with a commensurate reach. Wilder, for one of the rare occasions in his career, will actually be the shorter man and the less rangy man in the ring, although he's also getting better at using his reach. He obviously looks to be more aggressive than Fury. He's powerful, as we've stated. He's been more active, although not in the last kind of 8 months or so. He hasn't fought for as long as Fury's had those two fights. But having said that, over the last 3 years, taking into account Fury's layoff, he has been a lot more active and he's looked great. He answered a lot of questions when he beat Luis Ortiz. He had to come through some real rough patches in that one to get the stoppage in the end. He's won all but one of his 40 fights by a knockout or stoppage. So if he hits you, you stay hit, as they say, and that's going to be the concern, whether Fury, after the layoff, and not just the layoff, the kind of the extracurricular activities that he got to during the layoff, and I don't just mean, some of the questionable substances, but also eating, drinking, putting on as much weight as he did. He looks in great shape now, but as Ricky Hatton's career showed us, putting on an immense amount of weight between fights is detrimental to long-term career longevity. For Fury, having packed all that kind of shoddy living into one long period, one extended hiatus, can't be good for him. But it's whether he can put it all together on the night. He certainly had a hard training camp, as we can tell by the shape he looks in. He sparred the likes of Joe Joyce up in Big Bear in California before moving the training camp to the wild card with Freddie Roach, who's going to be in the corner, alongside young trainer Ben Davison and Ricky Hatton. So there'll be no shortage of wise heads in that corner. Fury's also sparred Lawrence Okolie to mimic Wilder's kind of rangy, awkward, powerful style. So that's an interesting kind of element to it. He's probably had better sparring partners overall than Wilder, but he probably needed it because of the long layoff and getting that sharpness back. Home advantage obviously favours Wilder, but then so does the pressure. It's out in America. If it was over here in Britain, there'd be so much more pressure and demands on Fury's time. He can kind of switch off to an extent, although it's not really his style, as we've seen in the build-up. But he will be going in there with the mindset that he has nothing to lose. He's already come back from so much. You've seen lots of people on social media and in his team say he's already won. He's lost all that weight, he's come back from a ban, he's come back from the titles being stripped of him. Just getting to this stage, given where he was a couple of years ago, is hugely, hugely impressive in itself. But that won't be enough for him. He's going out there to win. He'll be going out there in a confident mindset, and he'll think that in terms of boxing ability, which he prides himself on, he's streets ahead of Wilder. Conversely, Wilder under Olympian Mark Breland and good professional Mark Breland as well, Jay Diaz, who's been in the corner for a long time. Wilder's improved his skill set over the years. He came to boxing later than Fury did, it's fair to say, but still won an Olympic bronze medal in a very short time. He's since gone on to win 40 fights as a pro, and he's improved all the way along. He's always had the power, he's always had the natural athleticism, but now he's added a bit more guile to his game. He's improved his jab, notably, and that will be important against Fury, who has an excellent jab himself and who rarely lets his opponents get set because he's always on the move. Can Fury maintain that movement, lateral movement, maybe switching stances as well from orthodox to southpaw and back? Can he maintain that for 12 rounds under constant pressure? Against Klitschko, he befuddled the Ukrainian. Klitschko didn't really know what to do at times, and that caused him to be a bit gun-shy, I think it's fair to say. And also, as we now know, Klitschko wasn't a million miles away from the end of his career. Wilder's an athlete in his prime, he may even still be improving. He will not be gun-shy, he will be happy to let his hands go, and even if he misses some of his wild haymakers that he's known to throw, he will remain confident up until very late in the fight that he can land that fight-altering shot, because he's done it in the past against quality opposition, so why should Fury be any different? He may also feel that given the layoff and given that Fury's sharpness will improve over time, he might be catching Fury at just the right moment. Fury, I think Frank Warren has said, his promoter, that he could have done with maybe one more warm-up fight, but when this offer came through, it was too good to turn down. And Fury's tried to alleviate the problems by packing in as much as he can to get him sharp within a short space of time. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm going to have to go on a limb, aren't I? I don't think I can get away with sitting on the fence for this one. I'm actually sitting on the mat in my front room, as you probably know. We haven't quite sorted out that backdrop yet. But getting back to the fight itself, I think if the very, very best Fury turns up, and every indication is that he is at his best, and crucially, if Ben Davison can keep him on game plan, keep him on schedule in the corner, because he's so used to listening to Peter Fury on some of his biggest nights, and he's no longer the main man in the Tyson Fury corner. It's now Ben Davison, who's young, largely untested. But if that respect's there, and if he listens, and if he's kept to that game plan, I think he can just do enough to edge past Wilder, even on foreign turf, on points on the scorecards. But what do I know? I'd like to know what you think is going to happen, and why, and how you think the fight's going to pan out, what style the winner's going to use. Tell us in the comment section below. Obviously, all comments about my front room, my fashion sense, my haircut are all appreciated as well. I've seen some of those going through before. Like to hear more about the fight more than anything, but we certainly won't rule any comments out. We don't delete any comments on Seconds Out either, unless they're really profane, so that's not a challenge, by the way. But we look forward to your comments. Just before I go, quick mention of some of the fights on the undercard. Joe Joyce, 6-0 Commonwealth Heavyweight Champion, huge prospect for us, or huge contender now really. Goes up against Joe Hanks, twice beaten, New Jersey resident. Decent test for Joyce, might give him some rounds, but it's notable that Hanks is known as the future, but he's already 35 years old, not long come back from a 3-year layoff after back-to-back defeats as well. He's lost each time he's stepped up. Joyce will be looking to get the job done inside the distance and make a big impact on a big American show, and I think he can do that. I think the sparring with Fury will have done him wonders. I think a lot of people see Joyce as a bit one-dimensional, albeit very strong and very busy and very fit. But working with someone like Fury, who is very tricky, will have improved Joyce no end, I would imagine. Also on the undercard, a bit of a Cinderella tale and certainly a rocky story if he pulls it off. Jason Wellborn, we love him over in Britain, had great success recently as a middleweight, drops down to super welter for the first time in over 2 years to take on a huge task. Came out of nowhere, this one, a bit like Rocky Fielding against Canelo, and similar kind of disparity in levels that they've been fighting at recently. Challenges WBA Super and IBF Super Welterweight champion Jarrett Hurd. It's Hurd's first fight back after shoulder surgery. He's been out for 8 months, so you've got to wonder if he'll take his time early on, testing the shoulder out before really letting his punches go. Wellborn, you would think, will be on his chest constantly, really pressuring him. Not the biggest middleweight anyway, so I don't think it'll make a difference in terms of size. Hurd's massive for super welter. I think Wellborn's going to give it a really good go, and I'm not going to go out on a limb and predict the upset in this one, but I am going to say that I expect Wellborn to do better than many are expecting, if that makes sense. So tell us what you think of the undercard fights as well. Are you excited to see Joe Joyce? Could Joe Joyce even be the best heavyweight on the card that includes Wilder and Fury? That's a big shout, but some people think it, certainly in his team. Tell us what you think of that. And what about Wellborn? Is he on a hiding to nothing? Or certainly a hiding, perhaps. Or is Hurd, is he catching Hurd at the right time? Is Hurd going to be tentative because of the shoulder? Could he have taken Wellborn lightly and get a bit of a shock? I don't think many people will be saying that in the comments, but I always look forward to reading them, so please do. I'll be back on Monday with reflections, looking back on the weekend's action and what I hope is a huge upset victory for Britain, or at least one, maybe two. And I'll also be back next Thursday, 4:30 PM, for the next edition of this, FLEXpectations. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.